Hello, thank you so much for joining me today. I'm really excited about the class sequence today because it's called Yoga for Beginners. So all of you who have never done yoga before, you're unsure about the practice, but you're curious and you want to try it, this class is designed for you. Now, because there are so many postures in the yoga practice, I am going to follow this up with a part 2, Yoga for Beginners part 2. So that'll be coming up. So this is really just an opportunity for me to share with you some of the postures that we do in the yoga practice, how we can support them with props, and just offering you some cues to help you get into those poses with some options. So find a comfortable space to just join me. And also, before we start with our movement, with our breath work, I just want to introduce some props. You might have heard of them before. I just want to show you what they are because they're really helpful in your practice. So we've got blocks, yoga blocks. Doesn't matter if they're matching in color or different colors, but these are really helpful because if your hands don't reach the ground when you're in a kneeling or standing posture, the blocks can help close that gap for you. They can also support you when you're in some more grounded postures. So yoga blocks, helpful. Another prop that we incorporate is a yoga strap. Now, if you don't have a yoga strap, do not worry. You can use other things in your home. You can use a belt, you can use a scarf, you can use a rolled up towel. So just get creative and see what might serve you as a strap. And this is going to help you, again, instead of reaching for your foot and stressing yourself out, you've got the strap to help assist you so that you can get into some of these postures. So blocks, strap, just some options. If you don't have those today, don't even worry about it. You're still going to be able to do a lot of, maybe even most or all of the postures. But just something to think about as you progress in your practice. So getting into the practice, before we incorporate the postures, we are going to spend time with the breath. So find yourself in a comfortable seat. One option is to sit the way that I'm sitting. You will see that some people will sit this way in their yoga practice. This is achievable once you've done a lot of hip opening if your hips are really tight. So this is called full lotus. There's also half lotus, and there's also easy seat where you just have the legs relaxed, maybe one in front of the other. Now, if you've got knee issues and the knees being bent is too closed off of an angle, you can open the angle by sitting on your blocks. So this is a supported hero pose. The blocks are going to go underneath your seat, and then you're going to sit back on them. So this opens the angle at the knees. I actually really like to sit this way because I feel my shoulders above my hips, my ears above my shoulders. So I feel more aligned in my spine. This is really helpful for me during meditation, but see if you like this for your seated breath work. So different options in how to sit. You want to be comfortable as you're doing your breath work because we are going to spend a few minutes here. And the reason why we do that is because we want to transition from what we've already done in our day into our practice. And we want to really work with lengthening the breath because most of the time we only use about 30% of our lung capacity. So by working with our breath, we can lengthen to use more of our lung capacity. And that's really going to serve us because it's going to calm our nervous system, help us to down-regulate, and that's going to help us reduce stress and anxiety. And, well, who doesn't want that? Everybody, right? So in your comfortable seat, go ahead and close your eyes. Bring your gaze inward. Just notice that first breath you take. Inhaling through the nostrils. And as you exhale, maybe you open the mouth and take a big sigh of relief. And we'll do that again. Inhale now all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, sigh of relief. Notice how good that feels. Let's continue to breathe in that way. Inhale fully. Exhale, set the breath free. Awesome. Keep breathing in this way. All of your awareness is to your breath. This is likely the first time today that you've even thought about or connected with your breath. So let's stay here. Continue those deep inhalations. Full exhalations. With each inhale, think about taking in fresh, clean, new air. And with each exhale, think about releasing stale, stagnant energy. Continue on. Now, in this time with your gaze inward and really focusing on the length of your breath, you might choose an intention for your practice. Intention setting is beneficial to think about a particular theme or goal, something that you might want to honor during your practice. And that could be something physical like strength or flexibility, or it could be something different, something more, something like peace or letting go. So just check in and see what resonates with you today. Where do you want your focus to go? Let's take one more big round of breath. Inhale all the way to the top. Exhale, slow release. Now flutter the eyes open, come back into the space. Coming into our first posture. This is called Baddha Konasana in Sanskrit. In English, it's referred to as butterfly. So the soles of the feet are going to come together. Now again, consider the knees. If your heels are really close to your body, you might have really open hips, or maybe you went a little too far. So to open the angle at the knees, you can send your feet further away from your body, as much or as little as you want to. Feel it out into the hips. We're getting external rotation. Make sure you don't feel pain in your knees. Then, once you have that appropriate distance, take your thumbs to the arches of your feet. As you inhale, lift the crown of your head up towards the sky. And as you exhale, hinge at the hips. Think about bringing your belly button towards your feet. As you start to fold forward, you'll feel a nice stretch at the hips, the inner thighs. You might even feel this in your back space. So your forearms can rest at your low legs, or you might take your forearms down to the ground. So this is my first stretch of the day, and my hips are like, woo, not yet, ease up. So my forearms aren't all the way grounded. So I might stay up on my hands, or this is where we might include some blocks. Bringing the blocks underneath the forearms. Now, the more you relax your head and your neck, the more you fold forward, the more you're going to feel this in your back space. Give yourself time to feel into the body. Give yourself time for this stretch. Stay here. I'm just going to change my body around so you can see from a different angle. I love hip openers. I always do hip openers in my yoga practice. Hips are where we store a lot of stuff that, we don't really want to deal with in the moment. So we say, hey, I'm going to put this away for later. Well, most of the time we never come back to deal with that. So these emotions get stored in our hips, and coming into our poses is a nice way to release that stuff and get it out of our bodies. Coming out, as we inhale, we'll lift the crown of the head. Find that straight spine. Remember, shoulders above the hips, ears above the shoulders. Switching it up, take the hands outside of the thighs. Guide the knees together and then walk the feet forward. So now we're extending the legs. Now, as you bring your feet forward, looking at your feet, bring them to hip distance. So when you look between your feet, there's enough space for one more foot of yours to fit there. We're coming into a seated forward fold. This is called Paschimottanasana. It's fun to say, isn't it? Try it with me. Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. So I'm going to show you a couple different options with the props or not. One of my favorites, if you're not ready to get into the legs or your hamstrings are tight, so hamstrings, back of the thighs, you can take the blocks underneath the knees. Then when you fold forward, you're concentrating just at the stretch at your back. So I really like to relax my head and my neck because that helps me feel a nice deep stretch in my entire back, from the upper back all the way down to the low back. Feels so good, especially first thing in the morning when you get out of bed. This is one that I like to do in bed with pillows underneath my knees and then a pillow between my thighs and my chest. Okay, so that's one option. If you dig it, stick with it. Or if you want your legs to be straight, you can bring your feet together. Then you can incorporate the strap. Now the strap will go around the arches of the feet. Inhale, crown of the head rises up. Exhale, fold forward. Now, if you can reach your feet, you might not need the strap. Hands might come to the pinky sides of the feet. Fold it in. Now feeling into the entire back of the body. The back, the legs, back of the legs. And if you want this to be more passive rather than active, just let the arms go. Arms may rest by your sides. Keep relaxing your head down. Think about your forehead coming towards your knees or your low legs. Seated forward fold, Paschimottanasana. Let's take one more round of breath here. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, slowly start to rise up. Back to our straight spine. And now coming into a seated spinal twist. So bend the right knee and then take the right foot to the outside of the left thigh. Now from here, right hand comes behind the right hip. So think about your right arm like a kickstand, holding you up, palm is pressing down. On your next inhale, lift the left arm up, and as you exhale, twist to the right. Take the left elbow to the outside of the right thigh, twist a little deeper. So maybe you look past that right shoulder. Left arm can drop down. Keep looking past the right shoulder. Spinal twist. This is awesome for spinal mobility. And we'll start to unwind. So slowly bring the torso back to center. Release that right foot. Extend it. Bring it in line with the left. Take a full round of breath. Inhale all the way to the top of the breath. Exhale, release. Now, second side, bend the left knee. Take the left foot to the outside of the right thigh. Now the left hand comes behind the left hip. Set up your kickstand. As you inhale, reach the right fingers up to the sky. Exhale, take the right elbow to the outside of the left thigh. Spinal twist. Look past your left shoulder. So the right fingertips can drop down. Keep looking back. It might feel different to twist in this direction, and that is okay. Just observe the information that your body's giving you without judgment. This is your awesome body. It's letting you move. Feel gratitude for that. And then slowly unwind. Back to center. Extend the left leg. Both legs are straight in front of you. Full round of breath. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, let it go. All right, so now we're gonna come into hero pose. For hero pose, I can do this without the supportive blocks because I've been practicing for a long time. I've been practicing for about 9 years. That's why I'm able to get here. This might be your very first class, so don't feel like you need to sit in this same way. Come back to the blocks. Remember the option that I showed you before where you can position the blocks underneath your seat and then sit on them. So now the hips are higher than the knees. The feet can hug the blocks, hero pose. So we're gonna come into some shoulder opening and make sure if you're using the props that you feel really grounded on them. So shimmy around, find that right spot for you. And then let's practice some shoulder opening, which is also gonna be some heart opening for us. Shoulders need mobility just like other parts of the body. Shoulder is the #1 place of injury in the human body. So let's give the shoulders some love. You can use a strap or not. I'll show you why. So some of us might be able to connect the hands behind the low back. If so, we interlace the fingers, press the palms together. Gaze is forward. Now, if you can't connect your hands, don't worry. That's what the yoga strap or your belt or your scarf or your rolled up towel is for. You would bring it behind you, take both hands to your strap, and you're gonna hold onto your strap instead of hand to hand, okay? So the movement is gonna go up and down. So whether you're working with your strap or not, we're starting with the hands low. As we inhale, we'll lift the fist up just as high as feels appropriate to you. And as you exhale, lower the fist down. Let's do that again. Inhale, lift the fist, feel the shoulder blades squeezing together, releasing that stored stress. Exhale, lower the fist down. Let's do that again. So now we're practicing our movement following our breath. And again. Let's keep moving in this way. Notice how it feels to open your heart. Last round. Release the hands or the strap and just shimmy out the shoulders. We can take some shoulder rolls here. So as we inhale, we'll lift the shoulders, shrugging them up to the ears. Exhale, take the shoulders back and down. A couple more rounds. All right, next time the shoulders come up, back, and down, we're gonna release the props if you're using them. So just free up the space on your mat. We're coming into child's pose, which is gonna be coming from this position of the shins as your foundation. Couple different options. For hip opening, knees can go wide, big toes are gonna stay together. Then the hands walk forward, forehead meets the mat, fingertips are reaching for the top of the mat. Child's pose. Another option, and this is going to be for my people with low back issues, the knees will be together, feet together, forehead lowers to the mat, arms are by our sides. And now we're able to relax and release the shoulders. Now, as the forehead is connected down to the mat, you might rock the head from side to side, just offering yourself a little massage at your thinking space, your third eye. This is the space of intuition and wisdom, the space that regulates thoughts and dreams. So just roll away any thoughts that aren't serving you in this moment and just practice being in your body. If you need something to focus on, come back to your breath. Inhale deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, let it go. Sigh of relief. Coming out of our child's pose on the next inhale breath, slowly start to peel your forehead off the mat. Lift it up. Crown of the head reaching for the sky. Straight spine. All right, so from here, we're going to transition to a kneeling posture. one thing I want you to think about while you're in your yoga practice is making sure that you are comfortable. So find adjustments anytime you need to. For me, for example, I forgot to turn the air on and I'm starting to build a little heat with my movement. So you might think about, I might need a sip of water. I might need to adjust this or that. Give yourself the time to do that, even if you need to pause the video. So making sure that you're as comfortable as possible so that you're enjoying this practice. So with that being said, for a transition to our kneeling poses, we're going to reach our hands forward and then lift the hips. So we're connecting palms to the mat. Now we want to set it up so that we've got our knees under our hips and our wrist under our shoulders. This is tabletop position. Arms are going to stay straight. Looking at your hands, spread your fingers wide. Now coming back to our spine, as we inhale, we'll let the belly lower towards the mat. Exhale, lift your back, really creating space between the shoulder blades. And again, belly lowers. Now we're getting extension for our spine. Exhale, lift the back, rounding for flexion. Movement is following the breath. You can let this movement be exaggerated. With each exhalation, I really like to press my palms to the mat, keeping those straight arms, feeling a nice stretch across the shoulder blades. And we'll take one more round. And then we'll meet at a neutral tabletop position. Reaching the crown of the head forward, reaching the tailbone back, energetically lengthening the spine. Now looking at your hands, walk your hands forward one hand placement. So you're giving yourself a little more room. Here we're going to curl the toes, lift the hips way up high, and then press them back. So this is downward facing dog. You might have heard of this pose. Notice if you need to adjust your hands or your feet. Think about sending your chest towards your thighs, taking the pressure out of the shoulders. And then slowly take your time to walk your feet to the top of the mat. There's no rush. Take as many steps as you need. Once your feet meet your hands, graze your fingertips up to your shins so the palms meet the shins. This is a half lift. Ardha Uttanasana. And on the next exhale, we'll fold Uttanasana. Now, if your hamstrings are tight, bend your knees. That's going to be more comfortable. Arms can dangle, or you might take your hands to opposite elbows, framing your head with your arms. Back to stretching the back of the body. Here I like to take the option of alternate knee bends, bending one knee as the opposite leg straightens, and then switching it up on the other side. I can feel a nice deep stretch going up my straight leg into the hip. So maybe you take that, or maybe you stay in stillness. Maybe you rock the arms from side to side. What feels good to you today? Just let yourself explore in your body. Keep coming back to having gratitude for this awesome body that lets you do so much. And wherever you are, bring the legs to stillness, find center. Release the arms if your hands are at your elbows. Now bend the knees and slowly, and by slowly I mean about 3 rounds of breath, slowly take your time to rise up to a standing position. Let your head come up last to prevent you from getting dizzy. Now, as you arrive to this standing pose, this is called mountain pose. Feet are hip distance, arms are by our sides, palms are facing forward. Now, if you have a tendency to make this banana shape with your back, then you can take a micro bend in the knees and then think about pulling the belly button towards the spine, lowering the tailbone. That's going to be more comfortable for your low back. So mountain pose, this is called Tadasana in Sanskrit. Gaze is forward. From here, just feel the foundation at your feet. You might lift your toes, spread them wide, and then place them back down onto the mat. And as the feet are pressing down to the mat, rooted down like the trunk of a tree into the earth, crown of the head is rising up towards the sky, lengthening, and feeling the power in your standing pose. From here, we'll take our hands to our hips, and we're going to step the right foot back. So shift the weight into the left foot, lift the right foot, step it towards the back of the mat, and you're going to position your right foot to 45 degrees. So your toes are facing the long edge of the mat. Now, the left knee is bent. Left knee is tracking above the left ankle. Then turn your torso facing the top of the mat, so facing towards your left leg. If you feel like your hips are facing more to the right than forward, you can open that left foot out to the left to bring your hips forward, front of the hips forward, like headlights on the car. Then you'll reach your arms forward and up. Now, as you keep a bend in the left knee, press to the pinky side of the right foot. This is warrior one. Feel the sensation in the legs. Feel your strength. Feel your power. Know that from here, we're going to switch it up and transition to warrior two. So if you shimmy that left foot wide, bring it back in, and then rotate your right foot to 90 degrees. So the pinky side of your right foot is parallel to the back of the mat. Now the arms are going to reach, fingers in opposite directions. Gaze is going to be to the left middle finger. Remember, keep a bend in the left knee. Warrior two, this is a strong posture. Again, think about bringing your belly button towards your spine to lower the tailbone, to take that curve out of your back. Now for your alignment, look down to your left knee. Make sure you can see your big toe and your second toe. Feel the feet gripping into the mat. Now, if someone walked in the room right now, they might think I'm not doing very much at all, but this is a really strong posture. Lots of engagement happening in the body. And now transitioning again, we're going to come into triangle. This is where you might want to come back to your block. First, press into your left foot so you can straighten your left leg. Then reach your left fingers forward and then rotate the arms. Now, the block may serve you here, bringing it underneath your left hand, positioning it underneath your shoulder. Now, the right fingertips are reaching up, so the arms are stacked. You don't want to collapse. So if your chest is facing down to the ground, open your heart. Maybe you look up if that's okay for your balance. If that's really messing you up, you can rotate your head to look down to the mat. That also might be more comfortable for your neck. Now, one option I like to give in my classes for triangle is to bring your right hand to your right hip and then open that right shoulder. So that's going to help you get into your triangle alignment. So you want to think about your body being stuck between two panes of glass. Take whatever option is feeling good and appropriate. And then we'll start to come out. So we'll lift the right fingertips up if they were at your hip. Bend the left knee, rotate the arms back to warrior two. Lower the arms down. We're going to do that on the other side. So just rotate the left toes same direction as the right toes. If you're working with a block, take it to the other side of the mat. Then from here, you're going to turn your right toes to the opposite end, short end of the mat. And we want to set ourselves up first for warrior one. So as the right knee stays bent, we look back to that left foot and we position it at 45 degrees. Then we get the front of the hip points to face forward. Remember, if the hips are moving more to or pointing more to the left, shimmy that right foot open so that the hips are facing forward, just like your eyeballs. Then reach the arms forward and up. Warrior one. Right knee is tracking above the right ankle, pressing to the pinky side of that left foot and pulling the belly button in towards the spine. Strong stance. Notice how each posture is an opportunity to get to know ourselves. The internal dialogue we might be having. Noticing how many thoughts come up, and part of the practice is really how can we change those thoughts? How can we replace each criticism with something positive? Rather than saying, dang, when's she gonna let us out of this pose? Think, wow, I'm so strong and powerful. Exhale, bring the arms down. Rotate that left foot to 90 and then shimmy that right foot in if you made it wider. All right, warrior two. Right knee still tracking above the ankle. Fingers are reaching in opposite directions. Now we're gazing to this right middle finger. Now, really important in warrior two, you don't want your torso leaning one direction or the other. You want your torso above your hips. So find center. Maybe you bring the belly button in towards the spine. Come back to your breath. Inhale fully and completely. Exhale, let it go. Strong, strong legs, strong body, strong mind. And now we'll transition to our triangle pose, Trikonasana. So pressing into that right foot, straightening the right leg, reach the right fingers forward, and then rotate the arms. So as that right hand lowers down, you might come back to your block as a prop. Now the left fingers are reaching up, arms are stacked. Remember, you want the block directly underneath the shoulder. And you do have the option to bring that left hand down to your left hip, opening the shoulder. Maybe you gaze up. Triangle is such an awesome pose to get a deep stretch at the inner thighs. Inner thighs are the part of our body where we hold the emotion of anger. So getting into these poses to stretch this area is a nice way to release that sensation from our being. Now, if your hand is at your hip, reach your fingers up. Take a little bend in the right knee and then reach the arms up. Lower the hands down and then straighten the right leg. Turn the right toes same direction as the left. If your block is in your way, just move it. From your wide-legged stance, start to heel toe your feet towards each other. So we're coming into a standing balance. Balance postures are really important in our yoga practice because they give us an opportunity to practice our focus and our concentration. So this is tree pose. For tree pose, we're going to be balancing on one leg. So you might use the wall as a prop. I often incorporate the wall for these balance purposes. For example, if we're in the pose and you feel wobbly, your hand can come over to the wall space so that you can then take the hand away if and when you need to. So I'll show you both options. So tree pose, one foot is going to ground down, whichever one you want to start with. Position the foot down, spread the toes. Opposite foot, you're going to lift the heel. Now, you might keep the toes down. If it feels appropriate, you might slide the foot up so that your arch is at your standing calf muscle. Hands can be to the hips. Remember the wall. Hands can connect to the wall for support. Now, if you feel really stable here with your balance, you might go a little deeper, bringing the sole of your foot to your inner thigh. Now, the more you press your foot and your thigh together, the more that's going to help with your stability and your balance. So hands can be at the hips or hands can be at the heart center. If you want to advance, you might lift your arms, growing your tree branches in your tree pose. If you feel totally secure here, then maybe you close your eyes for another sensation and notice how that really shifts your balance. Tree pose. Feel the engagement at the legs and the hips. So not only is this a standing balance, but it's also a hip opener. So if the arms are lifted, go ahead and start to bring them down, thumbs to the heart center, and then hands to the hips. On your next inhale, lift your knee. Exhale, set it down. Now, shift the weight over to this foot. Lift the opposite heel, slide the toes over, option 1. Option 2, take the sole of your foot to your calf muscle on your standing leg. Option 3, connect the sole of your foot to your inner thigh. All of these options are appropriate. The only decision you have to make is which one is working for your body today. And each day is going to be different. So what does your body need today? What is the most appropriate thing? There is no competition with yourself. Maybe the arms reach out, maybe they stay at your heart center. But give yourself time to feel into this pose and to let your body practice this balance, this standing balance. If the arms are lifted, go ahead and bring them down. Take the hands to the hips. Inhale, lift the knee up. Exhale, set the foot down. Now, because we were relying on one foot to hold our entire body up, we're going to give our ankles and our feet some love. So go ahead and lift the heel of one foot and then circle that knee around a few times in one direction and then a few times opposite direction. Set the heel down, do that on the other side. Opposite heel lifts, circle the knee around, feel the mobility in the ankle, feel the stretch at the arch of the foot, circle it around opposite direction. All right, guys, we're almost there. We're just gonna cool down a little bit. So coming back down to grounding on our mat to get there, as we inhale, sweep the arms up, fingertips reaching towards the sky, gathering all the energy. Hinge at the hips, forward fold. Bend the knees so that you can plant the palms. Lift the right foot, step the shin back, lift the left foot, step it back. Now, coming onto our bellies for a prone pose, we'll lower down, belly and thighs meet the mat. Extend the legs. Take your hands under your shoulders, forehead to the mat. On your next inhale, just lift your head, lift your chest, gaze forward, baby cobra. And then exhale, lower the forehead down. Now slide the hands towards the ribs. Next inhale, lift the head, lift the chest. Maybe you lift the belly and extend the arms. Going a little deeper, gaze is forward. And then as you exhale, bend the elbows, lower down. Forehead meets the mat, full round of breath. Inhale through the nostrils. Exhale, let it go. Bring your arms by your sides. Next inhale, lift the head, lift the chest, lift the arms, lift the legs. Gaze is forward. Maybe you stay here for a couple more rounds of breath. Feeling the muscle activation in the back. Feeling your strength, your determination, and this attention that you're giving to your body. Exhale, let it go. Now from here, you can lift your feet so the knees are bent. Just take the feet to the left and then to the right, from side to side, like windshield washer wipers on the car. That was kind of a tongue twister. So here we're just releasing any tension from the hips and the low back. Bring the feet to center, lower them down, and then bring the legs together. Now take the hands back under the shoulders. Use your energy to push the mat away. At the same time, lift your hips and come back into your version of child's pose. A few rounds of breath here. To relax the shoulders, remember you can bring your arms by your sides. Just getting a counter stretch from that back bending we were just doing, inviting flexion back into the spine. And now coming out, inhale, lift the crown of the head up. Back to our straight spine. And now we come into our final posture. So lift the hips enough to take your feet out to one side. And then you want to scoot your boot to the middle of the mat so that you can lay all the way down. So this final posture is called Shavasana. As you set yourself up, create space between the feet and the legs. Bring the arms out to the sides. Create space at the armpits. You might rock the toes in and then out, in and out, so you feel movement going up the legs all the way to the hips. Just getting the wiggles out. And then bring the legs to stillness. Tuck your chin towards your chest, lengthening the back of the neck. That way you're not compressing the cervical spine. Now with your arms out to the sides, palms can be facing up as an intention of receiving. What do you need to receive? Energy, love, peace. Or you can rotate the palms down if you need grounding. Either option is appropriate. Just find what you need. If you haven't already, bring the gaze inward. Close the eyes. And just give yourself permission to be here now. Shavasana is known as the most important posture because it gives us an opportunity to integrate the work that we've done through our postures. And it also gives us an opportunity to be present with ourselves. We spend so much time doing, and in our culture, there's this thing about the more we do, the more productive we are, the more successful we are, and there's all this pressure to constantly be doing. And it's really important to have time to just be. Another way to think about that is one of my favorite quotes. It's by John Lennon, and he said, "Time you enjoy wasting is not time wasted." Here we're just spending time with ourselves. We're feeling into our body. We come back to gratitude for having the safe space to practice, to move our bodies, to not only benefit physically, but also energetically, shifting around emotion, letting releases happen. And in turn, this is going to help us feel better. We all need healing. This is a very healing practice. Inhale deeply through the nostrils. Exhale, let it go. Just relax. When you're ready, just start to wiggle your fingers and toes, inviting movement back into your physical body, as if you're waking up for the second time today. And then just notice how your body intuitively wants to continue to move, coming out of stillness. Maybe you rotate the ankles and wrists in circles, finding mobility for the joints. Maybe you extend your arms up and overhead. Or maybe you lift the legs and hug the knees into the chest, pressing the tailbone down to the mat. As we close our practice today, you're welcome to stay in this reclined position, or you can roll over onto one side And take your time to slowly come up to a comfortable seat. There's no rush. Take all the time that you need. If you're coming onto your seat, just find that straight spine. Crown of the head is reaching up. And then just let the hands rest on the thighs. Gaze is still inward, eyes are still closed. Give yourself a moment to check in with yourself. How does your body feel now? Now at the end of your practice, now if this is your very first yoga class or the start of your yoga journey, I want you to know something really important. The physical part of yoga is just one aspect of the yoga practice and the yoga lifestyle. And this physical practice is really beneficial because it allows us the opportunity to move the body around, to get the wiggles out, to then allow us to sit in stillness, whether we're coming into meditation or breath work, or we're simply observing ourselves. So just observe yourself now. Find your breath. Know that this practice is so much more than the physical postures. It's a practice of healing and letting ourselves get to know what's going on inside, what we're working through, not only on the mat, but internally. How can we change that internal dialogue? As a negative thought comes up, we can replace it with a positive one. We have a thought of, oh, this posture doesn't look the way I want it to look. Doesn't matter. You're in the pose. You're working towards it. Just be here now. And once the thoughts are too much, just come back into the body. Come back into the breath. Feel it in the moment. On your next inhale, lift the arms up, reach your fingertips up, 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 up. Connect the palms. Bring the thumbs down the midline. Find your breath. Connect with your breath. Connect with yourself. Tuck your chin towards your chest, bowing your forehead down to your fingertips. Feel a stretch at the back of the neck. Take a moment of gratitude to yourself for taking time to practice and offer yourself this time of self-care. Know that you're so worth it. Thank you so much for joining me and allowing me to guide you in this beautiful practice. The light in me sees, honors, and recognizes the light within you. Namaste. Thank you so much for being here. If you enjoyed this class, please just click the subscribe button and I will continue to create these sequences for you. See you next time.